it's 20 to 5. I don't really know if there's a lot going on out there in the world. When I have looked on TikTok, it just is like this same stuff over and over and over. And then I'm seeing people say that they're doing something to the algorithm. So I don't know, they're like blocking so you really can't see what's going on in the world. I think they're catching on that us seeing people show videos live and stuff of where they are, that it's giving us more perspective. And that's what the awakening's all about, man. The what was that one? Because that one was really good. This one thing that I had seen that they showed me, and it showed me how the awakening part works. And I was like, that is so cool. But I'll have to see if it comes to me. It's so fucking weird. I swear I did not see this coming at all with Dickie and this facing this side of myself. It's so weird is the build up to it too. Because there was so much with like I felt like I kept being pulled back in time. I kept being like, what is going on? This is so weird. Why do I keep feeling like, and I had mentioned it a few times. I said I get these weird smells and these weird like feelings and stuff, like it's pulling me back to these times that I didn't even remember. And it's really weird as it shuffled forward. Because when I very first started noticing it, the things, the smell or the memory or whatever it was that got me to realize that something weird was happening was I think the first time, I swear to God, it was like I smelled vomit at school. If you remember when the kids would vomit, oh, this is so disgusting. And maybe they don't do this anymore, I don't know. But back when I was a kid, so back in the 60s and the 70s, which was a lot different. Like, we were getting spanked at school and stuff. Like, I got licks all the time. And it was a humiliation. They have this big board, and you'd have to stand up and bend over. And then they would stand back and hit you as hard as they could with this big fucking wooden pallet. And I don't think my parents cared so much because they figured I brought it on myself. And, oh, that has me a whole thing. I gotta talk about Justin Bieber, man. And it's weird how that, like, I totally relate to what he is going through right now. The choices and things that he made, decisions he made, the timing, you don't realize how they're going to impact you. And this is a thing, is like where people think, about being a kid or something. But we're not kids. We're full-grown souls. So, yeah, when we look back, our soul knows. Our soul looks back. It doesn't look back and go, oh, well, you just didn't know back then. No, your soul goes, oh, see, this is what it's like when you make that choice. And now you know the consequences. And that's what everybody's got to remember, is what this is all about. It's like choices and consequences. That would be what we could call this game. And then and people just don't realize, like, and it's so weird. Like, the one song that everybody is playing now about him at the Diddy party is I heard that one a while back. Like, I was being hit with Justin a while back. And I heard that song a while back, and I was like, oh my God, this poor kid, man. And then I kept seeing all these videos and stuff, and these different adults, like even Jenny McCarthy, like he won some award. I thought it was Jenny McCarthy, maybe it was Pink. I think it was Jenny McCarthy, they were saying. And she was like inappropriately like kissing all over him and stuff. He was like a little kid. So I don't know, and I'm sure this is the thing. When you are hired by the shadow people to distract, they make you dance like they'll make you do stupid ass shit like that. So she may have not been like, oh man, I really want to get that kid in my But it could have been like, you know, well, he's the big sex symbol we're pushing right now. A sex symbol, he's a child. And we want all the women, you got to be going crazy over him. So that's the thing. But the thing is see that what the people are willing to do for money. And sometimes they're willing to do stuff for money because it's like, fuck, if I don't keep doing this shit, everybody's going to see that blackmail shit. There's so much espionage and control going on in our world. And it's so crazy because you have to be able to stand up, you know? You got to be able to just say, then show that shit, man. Show that shit. And, you know, fuck it. You know, I can admit that I did stupid shit. I'm ready to fucking face it. And I think Justin is having a really hard time because I don't know what, when you find yourself in these precarious positions, and the thing is with the diddler is it's already come out, like there was no taking no. It was like, no, I mean, you just would be asleep. There was no, there's lost stories where people woke up. And, I mean, there's people who woke up and, you know, ran for the hills. There was one guy who was talking about a story. He got invited to one of the parties by one of Dylan, his kids. The kid saw the guy on Grindr, invited him to one of the parties. And so he thought, well, that'd be fun. I'll go to this party. And he pulled up out front, and just the whole vibe. He said his and loud in his head, he heard, go, run, get out of here. And see, that is what I've always had. That's why I said it's kept me out of getting in a lot of, but I've gone through lots of things. Bet your ass on that. Like I said, even when I was being replayed that stuff and I was seeing myself all these different kinds of dangerous things, there was a light around me. Like I was always protected, but it didn't, looking back, it didn't matter about that I was protected. It still gave me this horrible feeling, this horrific feeling, just like, you know, a couple years further, and then there I am with this, you know, this smug ass look on my face, or this, I don't know what the fuck this look is. Shut up, Kelly. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's like, you know, I didn't know how. I was just a product of my environment. I was a product of abuse. Like, I had no idea. And then, you know, like flounder, you know, and just like just the song that he's doing now, there's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to help you. There's nobody to figure it out. And so you're just so alone, and it's lonely. I mean, that's his song. It's so lonely. Oh, I know that, boy. And the thing is like, for him, I'm sure there was at some point, there was a pressure, you know, it wasn't like every time he had to be knocked out. And, you know, you did get a Ferrari. So it's like, this is this kind of thing in our soul that is like, you know, you whore. Look what you'll do for money, you whore. And so that is the part that eats up people. And then they have to go through the process of like, you know, I when it comes down to it, I made that choice. I thought I was going to get something. I thought I was going to go a different way. It went a different way. But that's where people got to see that those are your lessons. You didn't do it wrong. You didn't do the wrong thing. Even though you can sit here like, fuck, like I've been doing it for days. I've been crying. I've been like, oh, fuck. And you just keep seeing these things and seeing yourself, and you just want to just kick yourself. Like, why did you do that? Why did you make this choice? And, you know, you got to go in deeper and deeper. And I'm obviously not even deep enough yet. And it's because then you can release it. And I'm still feeling a lot of pain from it. So I'm still in the process of releasing it. Once you release it, you can revisit it, and it doesn't cause you pain. You've worked through it. You've accepted it. You've allowed it, whatever it is. It doesn't traumatize you. And then it's crazy too, because so much of your being traumatized is you. It's how you react. It's what you do. It's like, I did that. yeah, the Diddler is he's a, a predator, not safe to be around. But then he got all these people to do, and I guess the baby oil thing isn't to use for the lube. Like I thought, like why were they using that for lube? Um, and when I heard them say it, I did see it more like orgy kind of like bodies. So I guess what they do when they want to get like because they keep little underage and stuff around is the predator puts oils up, because then if you are pushing, you can't. There's nothing you can do. It just looks too slippery. So they have it's so think about that, how snaky and slinky, and then to come up with, oh well, they can push me off, they can kick me. Well, not if you're oiled up. Like the darkness that their minds go to. And it's weird too, is like, were they all just like gay? Because I don't even think gay is real. I think that is like a fetish for a lot of people when it's just sexual. Is that gay came into this whole thing. I mean, to just be in love with somebody that's the same gender is not a fetish. There's a difference between love and sex, and sexual identity. Like that's very fetishy to me, to say, oh, I'm only attracted to men. Oh, I'm only attracted to women. Well, in what sense? Like, so you just are very focused on your sex and you just want to have sex with a lot of men or a lot of women or whatever it is. Like, where's the love? Where's the love? Because that's the part that's gonna hurt when you look at it. Like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of these people. It's not gonna be just Justin Bieber that's going through this pain. Like, all these different people. There's gonna be so many people that were on fucking Grindr and Hitch and what are all these fucking things called? The what's the one that's so popular? Tinder. And all these people who are on these things, they just went out on hookups and then did things that were raunchy or they're not proud of, and then they did it with somebody that they didn't even care about. That's gonna haunt them. That's like waking up from a drunk, like being drunk and then waking up and it's like, oh my God, I did that, I said that, oh my God. Like anybody who has drank, I don't know how you couldn't have a morning that you woke up in sheer shame. And that is where a lot of people can't face that shame and just have to get drunk again. That's where you just create an alcoholic, because you got to be able to face yourself. And you got to be able to reevaluate. Like if you look at it and you go like, fuck, man, when I get drunk, I lose my shit, man. I can't handle it at all. Then, it's a sign that you need to get a handle on it. Maybe you're not somebody who needs to be drinking. Like, maybe you need to really come up with some rules for yourself. You have 1 beer an hour if you're out with your friends. Like, really get a handle on it. And believe you me, I've been with a lot of alcoholics, and I've tried to fucking tell them, and that's, somebody who's out of control can't manage, and that's only going to make them think, oh, you think you're better than me? That's how it always boils down to. And so those are those toxic relationships, though, where it becomes this power pull back and forth. You think you're better than me? You think you know more than me? You think it's just it becomes like a war. And that could have very well been what, would have eventually been with Dickie and I anyways. Because obviously, he was older than me and he couldn't put himself out there and be vulnerable. I definitely couldn't put myself out there and be vulnerable. I thought he should just be able to read the signs. He should be able to tell how much I love him. But then when I look at the signs that I see he saw, it's like, fuck, no wonder. Jesus Christ, I'm just taking off. I'm always just like, and then smirky little smiles. It's like, Jesus Christ, Kelly. And then, like, it was just too hard. Like, it's so weird. Like, that was too hard to put myself out there and be vulnerable, because I was so scared he was going to hurt me. So I just put myself through being hurt every day. And then I blamed it on him because he couldn't see that I liked him. He couldn't see, even though he'd straight up asked me. It's very strange. It's very strange. But like I said, I wasn't supposed to be 17 and end up, married to the first guy I fell in love with. And live this nice, peaceful life of just him and I in our little place in Texas. And, but, you know, I mean, he died young too. But I, you know, I went off and had lots of adventures, and that's always been something that was a huge pull inside of me. Like you know, I had to go out and go on adventures. There was no way I could have done anything different. There was no way I could have gone past and been vulnerable and said the things. It wasn't in my script. It wasn't what I came here to do. What just as trippy is, like, I had no idea how impactful that was until it started being played back out to me. I had no idea. You know, now I look at it and it's like, oh my God, that was when I very first started making bad decisions in love. Like, I mean, I had been taken advantage of before that. Like, I had been engaged. That's so ridiculous. I couldn't even believe it. Like, recently when I was at my mom's and she said something about Perry and thinking that I was in love with him and stuff. I don't know. I was 15 years old and I was not in love with him. I was my biggest issue in life was that it was the people who wanted me, you know. I was like, and this is something that I think is important to look at. There's something I keep seeing, and it's called the parentified child or something like that. I keep seeing these pop up, and so I was listening to them. And I was like, you know, this is another one of, you know, the categories and stuff. Like, there's so many categories you can fit in here and here and here. But, like, I would just go more bigger. And, you know, because we all have these kinds of things at some point, especially the one group. Although I don't think that, you know, if you took all the narcissists, I think that you would find there's some places, some relationships that the narcissist isn't the narcissist. The narcissist can be the narcissist when it's played out with the two partners. So you need the giver and the taker to play this out. But I would imagine the narcissist isn't always in all the relationships. Those relationships are the ones that are there to teach you these different sides of them yourself. And so so on the one aspect thing, though, I thought was really important, because this went with what I have been saying, is like you become focused on what other people think, what other people, like, you put your feelings aside, and you don't worry, you know, like, well, you know, like, this guy likes me, so I don't want to hurt his feelings, you know, I want to go out with him. Like, that was a hard thing. I was very hard. It was very hard on me to the point, at one point, that was when I went to go get my very first tattoo, because I felt like I was breaking hearts. And I got this thing about the Black Widow in my head. So I wanted to get a tattoo of the Black Widow on me. And I was still trying to figure myself out, you know. I was like, because I wasn't trying to break people's hearts. The thing is what I have realized now as I've gotten older, like, back then I didn't have all this, you know, great understanding. But now I see, like, oh, they were picking me because they liked how I looked. That was the whole problem. They didn't even know me. They didn't like me. And then they have their whole ideal, you know. It's like they put something into this ideal, and you are their ideal, but you aren't. They don't know you of anything to depth. And that doesn't mean, like, because Mike, you know, he was very attentive and would listen, and he would go get me these little gifts of things that I said I liked. But there was lots of fucking issues, and there was stuff that, like, I couldn't even believe that I would put up with. And if that was a really short relationship, because then I met Paul at art class, and he was the model at the art class that I was, this one was doing portraits. And anyways, I don't know, we started talking, and then we started going out, and then went out more and more and became a couple, and then we ended up not being a couple, and he ended up marrying somebody else and being a couple with somebody else. And, you know, just like Dickie. But when I look back on Dickie, then I just can see of my lack of being able to be vulnerable and be honest and be truthful, to go with what I wanted, to put myself out there. And then, but then the people who came, and then they're like, oh, I like you, I like you, I like you. Then it was like, well, they like me. I just didn't realize at the time what all of that was all about. I didn't realize, like, when people only like you from the surface and they don't really truly like you as a person, that's a problem. It's a big problem in a relationship. And it's stifling to the person who, you know, they're constantly telling you you're wrong, you're, I have been called names, I've been told so many things. Even yesterday I got into this thing with my brother, and it was very strange, but it brought up a lot of things. It's not still going on. He's been sending me pictures and stuff, but it was very, this is my youngest brother. It's so trippy too, because him and I were so close. When we lived in California especially, but even when I moved here, we were still really close. We went on vacations and stuff together. But everything, I think, I think it was probably more of the brain injury. And what trips me out too is, like, when I got my brain injury, nobody understood anything about it. It was very, it was like I was having to explain things to people. And like, I was super depressed at one point, and I just wanted to be dead. And I can't remember. I think I was talking to this brother though, and I was like, you know, it's a huge percentage of people who get brain injuries kill themselves. And it's, you know, I said, you know, nobody knows what I'm going through at all. And it was years, man. It was fucking hard. And I'll just tell you some of this conversation, because you know, I'm very stressed because he's in California, and I've asked him a couple times, well, because he's got a place, it was by Salmon Lake in Idaho, but now he says that they're going to not live by the lake because it's too many, I don't know, it sounds like there's a lot of cabins and shacks and stuff, and he's way more fancy. Like, he lives in this big $1 million mansion-like house thing where he lives now. And so he decided that they're going to get a place in Boise because it's nicer houses. It's more like what they like. You know, I think a lot of firemen are retiring there because they already have a community. They already know a bunch of people. So it seems like a lot of firemen are retiring there. So he's going where all these other firemen are retiring. And so in Boise, I think, is going to be a safe place. And I'm hoping that this is, because in our conversation, I did tell him, I said something about, there was a whole bunch of stuff I said. Because, so in the conversation, I've been asking him, you know, about when he's going to retire. And then I keep seeing all this stuff going on, and the earthquakes and all these things, the fires. And then, so I had said something, because I thought, well, maybe he is speeding it up. And, but no, he said next year he's thinking he's going to. He said, but he was taking off a lot of time, and he's really wanting to. And I don't know if he said, I wished I had, or something like that. And I said something like, well, I think over the next 6 months, you're going to really be wishing that you had already done it. And because I think he's about to, and I don't think that's a big psychic stretch. I think it's like read the room. And so, and like already, I just can't imagine, like, I would think you gotta be exhausted between the suicides, the wrecks, the murders, the fire. Like, there's so much stuff. If you're a first responder, like, you've got to be so fucking burnt out. And so, but once this shit starts going, I was thinking that would be his thing. Like, those words will ring in his head. Like, uh, he wished he would have just hurried up and retired. Like, this, I think he's going to see this. It's not worth it. And I don't know if that's going to push his wife to go, like, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Because then they've also got the added pull of their only daughter. And she says she's not leaving California. And, oh yeah, because with my brother, with the brain injury thing. And so everybody had a certain way with me with the brain injury. And everybody just thought it was so weird. And like, they couldn't understand me or understand any of this stuff. And they would tell me things, and then I would be like, they'd start talking about something. I'd be like, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. We just talked about this. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing about that I remember. And people would keep thinking I was faking it. They would get mad at me. It was very frustrating. It was very hard. But and what was trippy, when I went to go make that movie with my brother, and I was wardrobe, because, like I said, it looks like I don't have much style, but I kind of do. And so so he had asked me to do the wardrobe for the movie. And, and I didn't know how to do it. Like, I made a lot of mistakes. Like, I didn't know some of the stuff. But anyways, it was still fun. And I got to go and do it and be a part of it and everything. And but when I was at his house, because I stayed at his house, and I think I got him to go to a concert or something with me. And we were talking. He was asking me something about the brain injury or something. And he said, I wish I would get a brain injury. And I knew when he said it, I was like, you just don't say that. You shouldn't say that. And I'm sure he replayed it. It was like whatever I was saying sounded good to him. It was like, bug, dude. I could just make movies, not have to go to work anymore. And so I knew when he said that, it was just like I knew something was going to happen. And then, but I didn't, keep thinking of it. I didn't keep giving it energy. But, and this is something that my brother said to you yesterday, was like, yo, well, because I said something. He goes, yeah, well, you said that was going to happen in 6 months. It's been 6 years. So I keep getting all the time, you've been saying that a long time. You've been saying that a long time, Mom. Okay. I'm sorry, I see things way too in advance. I thought I would come a lot faster too. I didn't know I could see so far ahead. So let me think, because I'm skipping all around the place. So I was thinking my brother probably played that in his mind more than just that one time. He probably didn't say it that one time, but this is where you got to watch your words. You really got to think about things, because then, as in a few years, and there he is with the brain tumor, and they have to go in, cut out this big chunk out of his brain and all this stuff. And then, so now he has brain injury, and now, he did get early retirement, and he is happy. He is living, and he did get free and clear with the thing, but he did all medical. He went with all medical. And everything I said, he's like, I'm not going with natural. So just shut the fuck up about it. And, but it worked for him. But it also, he said he wanted to live. That's the big thing. And it's all this mind play. You got to be, it's so much about sickness is mind play. And, but I think that my brother my youngest brothers have way more empathy for this brother, because they play guitars together. Like, they're close. And the one brother, I think now that he has seen what the other brother has gone through, has given him more empathy for what a brain injury really is about. So I think he's a little bit more like, now he's a little bit more I don't know, softer with me than he used to be. Because at this conversation that we had yesterday morning, I was just like, what the fuck? And I kept on thinking that the huge wavelength, the off vibration in the words and all this stuff just stand out to me so much when I talk to people who are on different wavelengths. And I'm on such a different wavelength. And it's so far different than the other people. And it's exhausting for me to keep coming down and talking to other people on their level. It's exhausting. And so, and nobody, like I'm just a strange person, So so in this conversation, I had seen that there was a fire truck that had gotten in a wreck. They were rushing to get somewhere or something, and a fire truck got in a wreck, and a bunch of firemen got hurt. And then I was like, oh my God. So I sent him a message. It was like 4 a.m. I sent him a message. But a lot of times when he's at work at the firehouse, they're up all night long. And so I sent him a message and I said, you're going to have to start checking in every day and tell us that you're alive and everything's okay, because there's way too much stuff going on there. And so then he messages me a little while later and he says, what's up? I'm in Nashville. What are you talking about? And I said, oh, there was a fire truck crash and there was a bunch of firemen that were hurt. And so whatever in this conversation, but somewhat, and I said something about to be safe. And I said, what are you doing in Nashville? And he was, his wife's company takes him on a trip every year where everybody goes for something. And they were going to go, it's usually in Vegas, I guess, but there's a bunch of people on the East Coast and they wanted it more closer for them. So Nashville was the place this year. So I said, well, you better be careful there. You better not be going out drinking and you better watch out. And he's like, oh, too late for that. And I said, so I said a couple more things about, the danger and, well, it's dangerous everywhere. All the travel locations anyways, they're all the same kind of shit. If you are a traveler and you're going out, especially if you're from somewhere kind of far, like it's a whole scheme. These bartenders who are in on it, they're just the same as all these other skeezers that, and who knows how deep this stuff is that they go, but they definitely are putting things in drinks. They're definitely sitting people on Ubers. They're definitely they're part of this schemy shit. And some cities are way worse than others. And it could be some of these skeezers go and get jobs at these places and they go in with this intention. Or it could be that they go get a job there and then, some side money, easy money, just to drop a little thing in there. What happens is what happens, and anything can happen. Well, when you're the catalyst, there's consequences, there's karma. So, but anyway, so I was talking about that and he's like, oh, you got to stop believing all this stuff. And, and I'm already gone, like, oh, well, Las Vegas would be the same too, and all this stuff. And so, now he's arguing with me about that. That's not true. They're not doing any of that stuff. I'm just so paranoid. And, I believe everything I hear. This is what I get all the time. It's like, people don't get it. It's like, I'm watching the news. Like, I'm watching Nashville news. People are showing their, I don't understand. They think that it's just people just saying stuff. I see news. I see also, and people, there's so many people out there doing research and so many eyes wide open in all these different locations. Like there is a grid set up. It's like this grid of awareness in it. And there's this nucleus of energy and then it all spreads. And I just heard somebody else talking about that too. Like there's more people talking about this. And this grid of awakeness, it has to do with this whole thing, like this awareness and then this flipping. Like it's going to be like, whew, I don't know, everything is going to be like this real abrupt things are going to switch, just sudden. And it's going to go really different. And so but so anyways, I always have all these people say, that I just believe everything I hear, stay off the internet, it's all this misinformation and you just believe it all and all this stuff. And so, I don't remember what I said. I said, oh, well, you remember I said about all the aliens and stuff, and you were making fun of me and told me I was so crazy. Because he said, quit trying to act like I'm saying you're crazy. I said, you've told me I'm crazy about a zillion times. Because he goes, you're trying to make this all about you, or it was some kind of weird twist. And I was like, you're basing this, you're trying to turn it and twist it like I'm saying you're crazy. I said, no, I'm basing it on the fact that you've said I'm crazy about a zillion times. He couldn't say anything to that because he knows that's the truth. And I said something. He goes, you just believe everything. And I said, no, I go with my gut. This is another one. This is like, he's definitely one of the ones for my whole life. Oh, everything I say, you know, when they question me, what are you going to do that for? I'd be like, because that's what, you know, I feel like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh my God, that is not logical. Why? You know, it was always, I was made fun of because I would go with my gut, and it was never logical. Like, I was just always just this whacked out person. And so, so I knew that would get him when I said that. And then he did, like, yeah, you know, that's about the most stupidest thing I've ever heard. And so then I was like, well, you know what that tells me is, like, yours is empty. like you don't have good communication. Or is what I get now. Like, before, I used to see it different. Now that I've gone through all this stuff, now it's like, the people who sit there and say this stuff and make fun of me, it's because, you know, poor them, they don't have it. And so they don't understand it. And so then I can only feel bad for them. I feel fortunate. But even though, like, right now, for the past couple days, it's like, fuck, maybe I'm mentally ill. Like, I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. Oh, this Dickie thing, this past, this, like, oh, God, it's so much. And it is so true. Like, you are not, like, you can't, your healing things have to come in order. I was like, God damn, especially when something kicks your ass, man. It's like, fuck, dude. And so anyways, in this conversation, then I was like, okay, well, at this point, you're not even understanding what I'm talking about. You know, so there's no point of us to keep talking, because it's, you know, it's like we're having two different conversations. You don't understand what I'm saying. And he's like, I'm on a tour. I'm telling you, I've got things to do. I can't be sitting here talking. So I say, it's like, it's weird. And so then, you know, we stopped talking. He went and did his tour, which I still don't know. I asked him, but there was things he wasn't answering, because so much of our conversations are just coming from here. They come from, they're people just don't realize how autopilot they are. And, you know, when you look back at yourself and you see when you are on autopilot, and you see, like, you know, there was no me being vulnerable and saying, yes, I love you so much. You're my everything. I was like, fuck, I couldn't do that. Fuck. God damn, I don't know that I ever even told my parents I loved them. I don't think I told anybody. And I don't think I told anybody until I started telling my kids. I don't think I told anybody that. I don't know. It's very, I don't think so. Anyways, let me think. Now I'm really going through this filing system of I love yous, trying to see, like, when did I ever say it to anybody? But okay, so probably when they said I love you, I didn't want their feelings to be hurt. Oh, I love you too. So but that is that parentified thing. But I swear to God, it's deeper than that, because there was some other things that they were saying, and I was like, well, I don't do that, but other people could. But it's way bigger. You know, when we're just always focused on what other people think, and we get lost. We get lost over, what do we want? What do we feel? Why are we trying to please them? Why are we more concerned how they feel and what they want? This is where we got to pull our focus into ourselves, and it's very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable, especially if you're used to just doing everything for everybody else and trying to make other people happy. Trying to make yourself happy seems selfish and frivolous, and so it's because there's a reason why we are the other way. And so those are having to fight through those programs, but that's what you're here to fight for. You're here to fight through those programs. That's why all the things happen, to line up exactly so that you can understand this stuff. So it all goes together. Like, there was nothing that I could have done to have made it different. And even if we can't do things that we aren't meant to do, it's impossible. And, even if it would have been, that I would have tried to force that relationship, whatever it was, like, it's just so weird how I left and then I didn't go back. And then he was such a draw on me all the time, but I always thought that he had already rejected me. I thought, he had already chose somebody else, but I was not seeing that I was the one who was creating this for myself. And then I had to go out and go through all these different people to learn how to love myself, how to speak my own truth, how to be vulnerable. Like, like, it's weird because I see the first and the last, like, it's weird. I never noticed before how much they look alike. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't know. And then their personalities are kind of alike, where it's really been tripping me out, like, a lot, where I feel like I'm kind of going mental. I definitely was like a big thing was thrown into my reality. It's just like spun it, where I'm just like, man, this is so weird. So weird. It's so weird. Like, and then putting it all together of all this shuffling through my past, my life. Like I said, it started with the fucking vomit, but it went on. There was rolls. It was just weird things all of a sudden. Like, I would be like, have a flash, all of a sudden be driving in this car, driving down this road as a little kid. And it would be this whole feeling, like the smells and stuff. Like, sometimes I walk in my house and I'll be like, it smells like I've walked into a house from when I was a kid. Whose house was this? Where was this smell? And I kept having all of these things. And I thought, like, I had healed a lot of the stuff from my past. But, obviously I hadn't. And I don't know. It was, you can't, like, if in my mind I kept feeling like Dickie had rejected me, then I would have to see the truth. I would have to see my truth, what I did, my part that I played. So those things had to be played out, but it's got so much more to it. It's so weird how that just, those choices right then and there put my life in this whole trajectory. And it's so trippy to think, like, even though there's not a what if, but geez, what if? What if that would have been, and I wouldn't have gone through all these things, because they've been hard. I had a really hard life. It was difficult. And I know it wasn't, in my mind, because anybody who knew me said, like, I've known people who've gone through shit, but I've never known anybody go through as much shit as you. And I had people, so many people tell me, go write a book, man. You've got so much stuff. Oh, yeah. But so my brother, back on that conversation, so I had said, you remember when I told you about the aliens were going to be coming? And I said, now people are seeing them all over the place. The aliens, the Bigfoot, all that stuff. And that's where he's like laughing at me like, oh my God, you believe anything. And I was like, what? They're being seen everywhere. What are you talking about? And he goes, oh, because you told me like that was going to happen in 6 months. And now you're trying to say, and it's been 6 years or something. I was like, I don't remember telling you it was going to happen in 6 months. And I just remember I said this was going to be happening, and it's happening. And he skipped over to something else and said, you said that stuff was going to happen in 6 months, and it didn't. So I was just like, whatever, it really bothered me. That was our first, I think, really big fight too. I don't know, we've probably been in some other ones, but it was a big fight. I was at the So it had to be 2016 because this was when my daughter had moved in the first time. And so I was still at this part with the boundaries and stuff. And I knew I was working on boundaries at that point because my guides had already told me. And then, and I was involved with that group, that meditation group that would go and do Reiki and meditate and all this stuff. It was like this group, and they were always talking about the aliens. And that's when I would go outside, which I just saw a video the other day, a guy in Spokane, and said, did you know that Spokane has got the most sightings of UAPs or whatever than per capita or something than any other place in the country? I don't know. I didn't look it up or anything. He just said that, and he said it was true. So I don't know. You'd have to go look it up. But at the time, I couldn't believe how many there was. And I kept pointing it out, and I kept showing people. I said, hey, see those lights blinking? That's not a star. That's a ship. See that one right there? That's a ship. That's a ship. That's a ship. Like, I would show people, and they would always just laugh at me. Everybody just laugh at me. Thought I was so ridiculous. Well, that's so funny because there's all these people all saying, oh, yeah, that's a ship. That's a ship. All the stuff I was saying back then. No, I was pointing out Narubu or Wormwood, whatever the fuck. I was pointing that out to people. I was being laughed at and told, oh, that was a shadow. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about and stuff like that. Back then, I was even showing the trails. And people were like, oh, my God. So I've been being called crazy for a long motherfucking time. It's fuck bullshit. And, but so he, you know, it was just like, you know, how ridiculous I was. And so it was just like, okay, well, have a good day. Have fun in Nashville. Be safe. I'm serious. It's a dangerous place there. And so then he messaged me a little while later. And then he said, well, thanks for caring. And I was like, oh, see, that's his wife. He was probably talking about how crazy I was. And she goes, well, she's asking you because she cares. So she's always like, we're two people, each other's mold together. Like, they've been together since they were kids. And yeah, it's like the logical one. Lynn is the, I don't want to say the brains of it because my brother's smart. It's, but she's the calm, emotional, you know, logic, like, she definitely has kept him on track. But also, you know, there's a lot of men who won't let a woman keep him on track. So you got to say, you know, that's also the man, because, you know, he gives respect to her. He allows himself to listen. So he, and so then for the afternoon, he was sending me more pictures, and he went and sent me a picture. They were on some other tour thing or something, and it was this giant statue, this goddess, this Athena, and it's made with gold, and it's huge. It was really, really cool looking. And I just was like, that's kind of trippy. Where are they putting up these statues now of gods and goddesses? Like, because that is what, you know, that's what they should be acknowledging rather than Jesus, if you ask me, is like these gods and goddesses from, you know, our history and stuff. I think that they're around. I think it was tripping me out is because there's so many faces now being seen. So many people. Like, now it's like, now that they're being seen in London, the Philippines, Scotland, you got a lot of people looking, and the faces are moving, and people are getting them from different angles and stuff. Like, this is very trippy. But I was thinking, it trips me out. Like, I don't even want to look up at the sky because I just looking back at us. Like, and but I was thinking, like, well, for one thing, if we went outside if we all had a light that we could shine up, because it always is by the moon, but that's just because the light is showing it. I think they're all over the place. And if we went out and we had a light and we shined it up and we were looking up, I think we'd see a whole lot of faces looking down at us. And it was really giving me this thing of like us being on a stage and them all watching. It's almost like a stadium of watching. And it's like they are looking through the firmament watching, and we're all these little tiny things, like this performance. It's kind of like, It's kind of like if we, like those big train things, like what I was talking about, those people who could do those big giant train villages, it's all set up and the train goes all over the place. I think even my uncles, I think, seems like it even went around the room or something. Like people who do those train things do some cool ass shit. But it'd be like, you know, all of us standing back and watching this train go, like in all the little setup things. So it's kind of like that to me, but it's almost like that these ones that are watching us, that these are the gods and goddesses, these are these beings or something, you know, that are, I don't know, it's trippy, like we're almost like we're performing for them, but we're not just performing for them, because there's the whole thing, you know, with the reincarnation and stuff of our learning, and it's like our gift to the universe. So it's not like, you know, like we're in prison and we're, you know, dance, monkey dance, show me what you can do, and all these big beings watching us. But it's trippy. It's like, I don't know, like the firmament to go, and then they're all standing there. Like, they're not there to hurt us. I know that, but it's very overwhelming, the size, you know. It's, I mean, their heads are huge. And there's so many. It's like, God, if all of a sudden, like, is that going to be a part of the light, the whatever's going to happen in the sky? I don't know. Like, whatever is going to go. It's weird. It's going to be, you know, there's going to be some crazy supernatural shit that's going to go on. So, it's so much more a hassle to drink out of a jar than it is my cup. I think I'm going to, next week, try the cup again and see. Oh, my throat's stretching. And try it, and see if it makes me feel sick. But that bentonite clay and water did help my stomach. Oh, God. Ah. Okay, let me think. Okay, so it's almost been an hour since I've been talking. Man, this is really bothering me. It's weird. It feels really dry and scratchy. I swear, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's like things that don't want us to talk about or something. But what else do they not want us to talk about? But anyways, with Justin, I am sure he's going through a really, really hard time. And so many people now. I just saw a bunch of videos that were people like, oh my God, I feel so bad for Justin, man. This has got to be, like the whole scenario is really hitting a lot of people with Justin. And the sad thing is like he was out there showing, you know, that he was broken, that something was wrong. And, you know, and then the media veers us in this direction. Like he's on drugs, he's out of control, he's a kid that got money too soon and all that. And, you know, who's sitting there thinking, oh, no, these guys are making him have sex with him? You know, I don't know when, because I read Corey Feldman's book, and that was an eye-opener, but it was all around the same time, you know, because then there was like Weinstein, but then that even though seemed like, you know, he was going after these starlets, like trying to put pressure on these pretty girls to sleep with him or something. Like, I can do things for your career. And then for how many of them did it? It's like, ugh, gross, man. Like, right there. Like, you're doing something like that. Like, it's no different. Like, that's, your soul is going to feel like, you know, you've whored yourself out. Because that's not what you wanted. You didn't want that. You didn't want, you know, where you weren't attracted to him. Your soul's going to make sure you feel that. Because you're here to learn it. That's why you go through it. That's why these things happen. So it's going to be impactful. Like these are big lessons that Justin is going to be going through. You know, because we aren't, even though we are children, we're not really young souls. We're all older. And even though we come in confused, we still have a meter inside of us. And even if everybody wants to turn theirs off, I know it's in there. You know, mine was, and there's lots of people's who were, you know, loud and clear. There was a loud voice in there telling us, you know, when to run. And then, you know, that voice would go silent at times, and then you find yourself doing stupid ass shit. But it's like, because you're supposed to do that stupid ass shit. You were supposed to do that. You're supposed to go through it so that you could learn from it. So you're not doing something wrong when you do it. You're doing what you're here to do. It's just that people just don't understand that you're here to make mistakes. You're here to learn consequences to your choices. You're here to learn all the different kinds of consequences. It's not just like one. There's a huge amount of different things that can happen. And that is what, that's why there's so many of us all going through all these different things. It's because it all gives a little angle, a little turn to the way that the things play out. It's like it makes the story more incredible, because then you can see these same things like happening to people, but then the slight little things that they do different based on their own recognition of all of their different experiences throughout their different life patterns. So there's all these like little tiny shifts that make it very interesting. Like I can see that, because just like, how we could go out and look at like different snowflakes and like, look at how interesting, like look at different patterns and stuff, because it's micro, macro, like they're watching patterns. They're not like just particularly watching just you. Like you have your micro, macro, you have your people around you, and even, people who you didn't even realize. Like now I feel like I don't know how long Dickie's going to be around. Like I don't know if he's a part of my team now, a part of my crew. Because a lot of people, have had people pass through all this stuff, and they come and hang out with them at different times, especially when they're going through things. So the people who we have contact with in life, when they go, they're still a part of us. They still stick around us. They still are there. Like when you yearn for them, they are there. And they will communicate with you, but you got to learn how to communicate with them. To me, I just talk through telepathy and do a lot of acknowledgement. And if you don't understand, you can ask for things like signs and stuff. You can ask for clarity. Yesterday it was music again. I was, what is that called? It was like I had an impulse to do the music. And so we did the music, and it was like this whole different kind of, it's so trippy. It's like the lineup and stuff. It's so trippy. And it's just definitely talking to you. And then, so I definitely had some more tears yesterday, where it was like, God, I cannot believe I'm still crying about this. Can't believe how bad this feels. And how confusing. It's weird. You'd think like it would be like, give me some kind of clarity or something. It's kind of just really created a lot of confusion. Of like, man, it's weird. I don't know. I just gotta see how things keep playing out. And I know that there's a lot going on. There's oh yeah, because with the dealer and stuff, it is almost like the same thing with Jeffrey, is that they, it's like what is that called? It's like taking, I don't know, I keep hearing mackerel, but it's like taking something and making like that is it, so that you can say that that's the end of it. So it's like a scapegoat. It's like a throw a bone to us kind of thing. But from what I understand, I mean, this is the takedown. This is it. This is, you know, I mean, the film evidence and all that stuff is going to be, I'm sure there's got to be some people who are shaking in their boots who were like, fuck, I didn't want people to know about that. And who knows? Like, these parties were big, and they even had people like Meryl Streep, Martha Stewart, like these people like going to these kind of weirdo parties. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if like, there's got to be word on the street. Like, what is that? Rosie O'Donnell. She does a video yesterday on TikTok. She's on TikTok. And she's always out there talking. She seems like she's probably a nice person, but I just kind of like, are you being for real, dude? Like, are you for real? Like, I don't know. Are you just trying to cover some shit up and trying to act all innocent? Like, you know, you've spent your whole career married with kids and don't know any of this stuff. And then she was telling this whole long story about the diddler, and she was his neighbor, and he had invited her, or had seen her kids outside or something. I don't think that they were little kids, but had invited them to this big party he was having. And so then she said that it was a white party, and that they didn't know that you were supposed to dress a certain way for the party. So when they got to the door, her wife and her 2 kids or whatever, that they were dressed like in sweats. And she said that they were turned away. And so she was like, no, he just invited me. We live right there. And they said, no, too bad, go home. So then I think she messaged him or something. So then he felt so bad that he rented out the whole multiplex theater for them for a whole day, and that they could go and see any movie they wanted at any time of the day or something. And she was like, well, that's so nice of him. So she's just like, you know, the interactions I've had, he's just such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. And she's just shocked. She just is really shocked about all this stuff. And I was like, your best, or your close friend, like, you were close friends with some of these people. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she's like good friends with Madonna, like back from a league in their own. When her and Madonna were in that movie, they had become like best friends because they had both lost their mother or something. I think they were maybe already friends at that movie. Somewhere, some movie they met, something. And they had met, and they had both lost their moms at a young age, so they bonded off of not having a mom. And I remember hearing them both talking about that. But it was like, fucking hell, Madonna is your friend. You're gonna act like you don't know anything about this shit? What? So that's why I said in the comments. She didn't say anything back. She could have blocked me. I don't know. But it was like, you can't act like you just don't even know. You never heard of this stuff. Madonna's just bringing them in from other countries, turning them into other genders, and plus she has her own little weirdo parties, and she's very into, like, what she does. She's strange as hell. She's also does these weird videos, like, nowadays, weird videos. And she's always talking about pasta and pizza and, you know, all these weird code words that they use. Like, I think that there's video footage of her, you know, I don't know, tonguing kids or something. Like, she's maybe Rosie had a falling out with her a long time ago when she started seeing this weird side to her or something, and she just stopped being friends with her. I don't know. But some of these people, like, you know, your friend group is going to kind of show, like, and now they're saying that Oprah is going, well, Justin's being exposed because now everybody's going to see, you know, what he had to do. And now even what they're coming out with Jay-Z, he's the one who decides on the Super Bowl show. He's the one who puts those people in. Just imagine what these people have to do to get these shows. It's so fucking controlled and manipulated. And Jaguar Wright is out there. She's talking, oh yeah, that interview I just seen with which one was it? one of the Wayans brothers. I can't remember. It starts with it. I can't remember, but I'd seen this interview on this podcast. I'd only seen a clip. It was, I think it's called the Shishi podcast or something. But so, and he, I don't know, in this thing, something about the diddler or something got brought up, I think. But now it's all coming out like, no, he was like his boy toy or something. And when I heard Wayne, the guy talking, it sounded like, that they were really out there with integrity, really, giving it to the system, and, we're, and then, there's, I don't know, there's video or something, I don't, there's pictures of, it's like, fuck, these guys, man, it's weird. But, I mean, take a knee to power and give it more power. And so these, but so Justin, he'll be exposed for, I don't know, because now they're even saying, like, he started becoming a hand, like, bring other up-and-comers to the Shark Tank. So there could be some of that, because that happens to a lot of them. They get put into these handler kind of things, bringing other people, walking them off the plank. It's a walk that they know. And then, but that what he, would do for money, but then it's going to also show all of us, like he was, yelling out and screaming out, but to him in his soul, it's going to hurt because he knows what he chose. You can't get away from it. Like, it's weird. Even at 17, when you just keep replaying those things in your thing. And I keep, trying to look at how to let go of it. What do I need to see? What do I need to release? Show me what I'm not seeing. Show me how to release this. Like, I'm ready to let it go. And I don't know, there may be some event, there may be a movie I'm going to be watching. All of a sudden it's all going to click, whatever, my higher self, the universe knows better than me, like how long I got to deal with whatever this pain is from choices I made from being young, and then going through this whole life journey that was so difficult. And then to think like, oh man, if I just would have made a different choice just that one day, just a different choice that one day, if I would have just said, yes, I love you. It's like everything, like in the bigger scheme of things, it's like everything would have went this other way, because that would have been the journey that I was on. This journey of speaking my truth and choosing love and stuff. But I had to go on this other journey of somebody fix me, somebody help me. And it's so trippy is because you just don't realize the only person who can help you is you. You're running around trying to find somebody to help you, trying to find somebody to love you enough that you can love yourself. But it all comes down to you. We should not even be out there dating or anything until we learn to love ourselves. That's a huge mistake humanity has made. So send people out there and see if they can find somebody to love them. Like just the conversation with my mom over that fucking engagement. I was like an older guy who wanted to fucking lock it in with me when I was a child. And my parents being like, okay, I guess she loves him. It's like, was anybody ever there for me? Does anybody ever be like, oh, we got to protect her? The protecting of me was more of shaming me for not protecting myself. It's like, well, where was I supposed to learn? How was I supposed to learn to protect myself? So, but those are all things, that we are here to learn. We are here to learn for ourselves and here to figure it out, because there is nobody who is doing it for us and stuff. Like Justin Bieber had a mom, but I guess she was a real social climber, I'm sure she told him, I don't know. Like, I can't say that she knew, he was going to have to take it up the behind. And then she's like, just do it. Just do it. You get a Ferrari. God, I don't know if she was that harsh. But whatever it was that he didn't feel like that he could turn to her. Maybe it was out of shame and embarrassment. Because back, you know, when you're a kid and sex first starts coming, yeah, it is very embarrassing. You don't want anybody to know, like, somebody's trying to have sex with me. Like, it's like humiliation or something. So, and he has come out and said, you know, like, he didn't know shit. He just wanted to sing. And then he had all these people telling him what he needed to do and how he needed to do it and stuff. And it's on all levels. Like, we've all gone through this. Like, he's going through it. He's like the sacred cow for this energy. It's like this top, it's at the surface. We can see it, but it's going to drizzle down over all of us, of our choices, the things that we did. It's not just so that we can all sit there and humiliate him, throw stones, what an idiot, stupid ass. No, this is an energy that's being purged out. And anything of that energy that is attached to you, you're going to feel it. You're going to experience it. And it's not to sit there and distract yourself and think somebody is worse. It's to be able to just jump on that fucking wave with them and be like, fuck, I did the same shit, man. It's hard. It's hard to face, like, bad decisions when we make bad decisions, and then ones that are not in our best interest. And then especially when we think like we're going to get something for it. And that is a harsh thing that a lot of people are going to be learning about, like this trade-off. Like, I thought I would get something, so I did it. I thought I would have this, but I didn't get what I wanted. I got something else. And so, and then we don't know the cost of it. You don't know the cost of it until you pay for it. And then that is when it hurts. And that is because you're learning about these concepts. It's not because you've made a mistake. It's not because you're warped. It's not because you're a weirdo. It's not because you're stupid. It's because you're here to play that part. You're here for that experience. And then you're here to, you know, basically show the world what you do with that experience. How do you come back from that? How do you heal? How do you let it go? How do you move forward? You know, you, as a soul, you can't just stop. Just stop. Well, that's it. That took me down. That's enough. I can never go any further. Like, you're an infinite being. Like, you got shit to do. There's no time to stop and be like, yeah, I made some mistakes. I can't do it anymore. It's like, no, you got to bounce back from that shit. You got to, you know, allow yourself to make mistakes. And there's reasons why we make the mistakes. I mean, the reasons are what we're here to learn from. We're here to learn about ourselves, through ourselves, experience ourselves. And there's lots of harsh lessons that are being learned during this time. This is a purge of some really dark, shitty stuff, man. And there's so much with fear. People are so scared of shit. Like, this guy, and he did a video response to me, but him and I were on such different wavelengths. And luckily he could see that too. And he does that. Enough people that he was talking to, is he's trying to talk about all the parasites and stuff that we're getting and how we're so in danger. And his idea too is like the dogs have the parasites, and they are these beings that are trying to give you their parasite. Like, he has a whole nother level that he's looking at shit. And so but in the video I saw, he said, if I'm sitting up on my roof and this dog came running up to me, I'd pull up my 6-shooter and I'd take it out right then. And you come up too, I'll take you too. I was just like, what the fuck? Fear, man. People are going crazy over fear. It's just like, don't even think. Just like, you know, everything scares me. Everything's out to get me. And it's like, that's where you got to slow down. You got to get a handle on your fear. People's fears are so built up right now. I would think that's going to be a part of what's going to, you know, be a smack. That's going to be the part where they hit into the window in their fear. It is funny because it is like, I see it like a fly getting hit on a window, but then with their face, because it's like cartoons, they're like a face smashed up to the window, then all of a sudden though, they get a whole new sight of things. And so that is this, you know, because this is everything happening is this change in perspective. That's what the awakening is all about, is this huge increase in perspective, an increase in understanding, and, you know, the awareness, the questioning your reality, and questioning, I don't know, to me it's questioning it all. You know, who am I? What am I? What am I doing here? What's going on? What does this mean? What does that mean? Because it all has to me, answers. It's all part of the game. And so, I don't know. I know that I'm still processing through, it's not even just bad choices. Like, I made a lot of bad choices. I mean, fuck. The first person I married, half of our marriage was me trying to not be murdered. It was like, he was so scary. So scary. And so trippy how he pursued me so hard. And then he was so scary. And then when I finally got away, and he would, like, at first, he would even stand out in the alley of our apartments and just wail all night, Kelly, Kelly. And, I'm sure his rejection and his abandonment, like, that's the thing is, like, I could sit here and just focus on my abuse, but he felt his abuse. Like, that's the thing is that people's reaction to their pain is what causes them to be, like, angry, violent. It's like it all is coming from the same pain, and it's all these different ways of being able to deal with your pain and your emotions. And some people turn it in and some people turn it out. And, but both things are valid. I mean, it's the light and the dark. And it's trippy because even in the light and the dark, it can change. So something can seem light, but it's dark, and something can seem dark, but it's light. And it depends on what you do with it. It depends on how you go full circle, where you take it. So you can, it's like the transmuting energy. It's like something bad happens, but you turn it into something good. So that is what we all have the ability to do. And then I think those things, when we do those things, then we feel proud of ourselves. Like, God, look at what I did. I didn't let this get me down. I just kept going. I fought through it. And I conquered it. Because when you do those things, you really do become more developed. You become more emotionally mature. You can handle more things. You appreciate yourself more. You have more empathy and compassion. Like, we're still at this point where we still have people around us that don't have any empathy or compassion for anybody else. Nobody else. And that is going to be, I would think they're going to be hit hard with something, or going to be something very impactful for the people who are lacking empathy and compassion, something that's going to really hit them in those areas. Because that's the thing is, like, it's like the part that you need to come up front and center is where it's going to impact. And so some of these things I was seeing them really good playing out, but I can't remember them all now. But I was like, oh, it's trippy. Like, on my own, what was that one? Because on my own, I was seeing it. Oh, because all these bad relationships. And I was like, looking over it and the past life thing. And I was like, man, I must have been like tricky, like a Black Widow kind of back in the day. And I don't know if this was my gypsy life, because that lady had said I was a jewel thief or jewel smuggler. I was a jewel smuggler. Like, I was on these boats and I would smuggle jewels, but I was very beautiful, and I used my looks to get men or screw men over or something. And so I was thinking that I must have coerced, like, maybe I told men all the time I was pregnant or something, and get them to marry me so I could steal their money or just use them. I don't know. Maybe I killed these guys. Like, I don't fucking know. But, and then I was thinking that must have been, like, where all these guys like I have to get the other side of it then. Like I will be coerced into a relationship. I will find myself in these dark relationships. So see, then you get this impact of like what you have done to other people. So it hits you in a different way. So you get the full view of it, of what it feels like to have it done to you. So that is how we go through these cycles. Things that we do, then we get to experience what is it like when it's done to you. And so it's all these back and forths, and we don't, like, we can sit here and analyze it and get all serious about it and stuff, but in our soul world, it's not anything like that. It's just like, you getting up in the morning and choosing to put on jeans and a t-shirt instead of a skirt and a sweater. It's the same thing. That's how important it is as a soul to all of these parts that you play. Like you get caught up in like you're a bad person or you're a good person. You're a bad person when you don't feel good about yourself, and you're a good person when you're way too up in your ass on your ego. So all things that get you to feel emotions that are not in balance are pulling you in different directions. So then you got to see how to pull yourself back, because where you want to be is in the balance, is in the middle. You don't have to just be, like you don't have to just be like, I'm the best thing in the whole wide world and tell everybody, I'm the best thing. I'm the best thing. In order to prove that you love yourself, then you also, because let me see, because so when you get out of balance and then you're down on yourself, and then, but getting yourself into balance, it isn't so much about the words. It's more about how you look at yourself. It's more about your inner dialogue, how you talk to yourself, how you look at things. And when you're too caught up in all of the dramas and stuff, then you're distracted. And they're doing a fabulous job on distraction right now. They really have people very distracted. And but the distraction is going to work towards the awakening anyways, because that's going to be a big impact moment for a lot of people. Because even when I was talking to my brother, I was just like, it was tripping me the fuck out. Everything I was saying, and he was like, he had no clue. And I was like, oh my God, there's so many people that are just not going to see what's coming at all. And and I don't know where he's at in his awakening. Like, we live far from each other. And so, I don't know. Oh yeah, he sent me another message too last night, and he was at the Grand Ole Opry, and he sent me a picture, and that was very exciting. Like, how cool, I get to go to the Grand Ole Opry. There's so many things, like I've wanted to go to Nashville, I've wanted to go to, there's so many places I want to go. Like there's not enough time to do all the things that are out there to do. That's how I feel. That's how I've always felt. That's part of the reason why I left. I was looking for love. I wanted him to love me. It was breaking my heart. All these other girls seemed to get him, but it was weird, because I could see that they were super confident, but I kept thinking that he liked. And I couldn't see that him and I had something that was I don't know. It was like both of us starting this thing at the same time, because I was just getting started. Like, I don't know. It was like it's just this very certain time in life at that time. I know, one thing I've kicked my ass over so many times in my life is I just didn't stay. I just didn't stay there. Not even about him before, but because it was my whole life. My whole life was about going out and dancing, and everybody kept doing it. And then I took off and went on this other direction. Like, I was the first one out there getting married, first one out there having kids, first one out there getting divorced. And so that's how I get this, reputation of just being like, do you ever even think you just go and just do weird shit? It's like, yeah, I do. Just go and live my life. And I feel this pressure of like, there's so much to do and I got to fit it all in. So anyways, I was like, God, that would be really cool. You go to the Grand Ole Opry and see a show. And they must just have just Grand Ole Opry shows, because he said it wasn't a person. He said last night, the night before, Steve Martin was there. But that would have been a comedy thing. He wouldn't have been for... So I think it's like a performance stage too, but I would like the Grand Ole Opry show, just like the old kind of show that they used to do when it was a, you know, like one of the only places where people would play. So so let me see. So just people up in the sky watching us. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot more people waking up. There's still big things coming, and just no telling when. I would think like this week has got to be big. There's got to be a lot of shit going on this week. Because now it's Saturday and Sunday, so Monday. But this is the last week in September. And I don't know. I would just think there's going to be some shit going on. And who knows, like, how this stuff is drug. Like, you think, oh, this will be really big. Who was it now? They said, I don't think it was J-Lo. There's a lot of stuff about her in the news. She's going to be going down. But it was somebody like that. And they are testifying against Hunter and somebody else. So that's where all these people are going to start being linked in, you know, and then they'll bring up, oh, when Hunter got that money, and then it was siphoned over here. Like, they're going to play this out and show all this corruption and all this shit. Like, I'm not going to be watching all this stuff. It's like, we already know. It's so tedious. It's so tedious watching people just figure it out. It's like, oh my God. Like, this is so... Ugh. And I know I've just got to find things around here to, you know, just enjoy my life while all this stuff is going on. And it can be hard, too. Like, for one thing, I just feel exhausted all the time. I'm so tired. And what I'm processing through is very exhausting. It's mentally draining. And so... I don't know. I just wish things would just hurry up. But I just feel like every time I think that it's gonna be super dramatic, and I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna feel bad that I ever said I wish this would hurry and happen. But it's I don't know. To me, there is such a stagnation sometimes of how things just drag, and they mess with our accounts, like the accounts that are out there trying to inform people and tell the truth and stuff, and our accounts just get messed with, and just those kinds of things. It's just like, I'll be glad when the energy changes. I'll be glad when it's flipping the other direction, and there's not all this repression, all this holding us down and holding us back. It's going to be like we're all released in flight. It's like all of the doves all of a sudden released. But there's going to be, you know, there's a lot of us who are sitting there waiting. You know, we're waiting for this cage to be lifted, and we're watching. There's going to be other people who won't know. But so that's why it's going to be, some of us will take flight, while others will just be watching. Oh, is that what we're supposed to do? But it's going to be all of this stuff about healing, because the people who are going to be taking flight are the people who have been doing the healing. You're not going to see people taking flight who are falling on their faces in trauma and drama. And then that is what is going to be the biggest thing. There's going to be so much. There's no... and this is the thing, too, is all the way back when I started going through all this stuff. And that is one thing my guides told me crystal clear. Was, yeah, this is going to happen for everybody. So all the things that I go through, I'm always like, oh, this is going to happen for everybody. This is going to keep happening. This is going to be happening for everybody. So, yeah, you're going to face things that you do not see coming. And you got to just get with the flow. You know, you got to process through it. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. You got to go back and face yourself. Face your decisions. Face the things that you did to hurt other people. I mean, it can be very unstabilizing when you think, like, this person hurt you, and then all of a sudden you see, like, oh, I was hurting them. And it's like, but that is to bring a balance. It's to bring an equilibrium, because you're way over here like, oh, poor me, poor me. But then all of a sudden it shifts you back to, like, no, there is no poor me, poor me. We're all on this thing. Like, I was hurting him, he was hurting me. We were at that level. And that is a part of where we were at. And we couldn't have done it different. He had to have the girl who threw herself at him. I had to have the guy who threw himself at me. I don't know what all his lessons ended up being. I know mine were hard. And it was challenging. But I did learn a lot. I learned a lot about, love and what love isn't. And self-esteem is very important and is way more important for you to love yourself in this world than to find the love in somebody else. Because nobody's going to love you in the way that you need to be loved until you love yourself. It's like you have to find that energy to put it out there. Because nobody can, I was like a lost, it was so much like when I look at my life and I always see that book of Are You My Mother? That's what it was like. I was just going around desperately looking for some kind of connection, somebody who could make me feel better. And, I just made, I don't know, it's just weird when you go back and you look through it and you re-experience your choices. But there's learning, there's learning, there's a reason for it. So don't hide from it. Don't try and hide and distract yourself and go do drugs or get drunk or go call somebody and talk about their problems. Face your own, because those are the ones you can heal. Those are the ones you can let go of. And, like some of them, it takes days. Some, I remember back when I very first started with the healing, there was things that took weeks. Well, the very first was the Dark Night, and that was like 9 months or something. That was 9 months of hell. I was so fucking hard. And I thought I had faced all these sides of myself from then. I was not expecting to go back to, 17 years old and not be able to tell the guy that I was madly in love with that I liked him. Like, oh, that is just so weird. It's just the whole thing. Like, you just don't realize, like, some of these things that you think, and they have such an impact on your life. And so weird to go back and see that starting point of when it all began, when it all started. And then you can go to other things. Like, that's when the certain things started. You can go back to other points in time and go, oh, that's when that started. Oh, that's when that happened, and see. But there's a trajectory that each point in time initiates. And those are the things that you want to go in and go back over, to really understand yourself. Like, this happened, and this is what I did with it, and this is the choices I made, and this is how it played out, and is this what I would have wanted to do again? Probably not. I don't think that very many people look back on things and go, God, I'm so happy I did it exactly that way. I think there's a lot more of like, God, I wish I would have done that different. God, I wish I would have done that different. But those are the things, we can't change them, but we can learn from them. Because everything is about lessons. And when you have new opportunities, what do you do then? You're going to do the same stupid ass shit that you did before? Well, if you haven't learned from it and you haven't grown, probably you will. So it's important to learn and grow from the stupid shit you do, so you don't just keep doing stupid shit over and over and over. That you you level up. You may still do stupid shit, but it's not the same stupid shit. It's new stupid shit to learn from. There's always stupid shit that we're going to be doing. And that is a part of where we have to just accept ourselves. We're not all so fucking perfect. Like what the ego wants you to get all stuck up your own ass and think you're better than everybody else, but we're not. We're all just, and it's a part of our role. It's part of what we are. It's a part of what we are here to experience and do. It's a part of, like, I don't know that all souls do all this reincarnation. I don't think they do. Like the Watchers and, well, even when we're here with a bunch of other beings that don't go and do all this reincarnation. That's why I said I think they're going to be more held back by, like, they're more bound to the darkness. They're more held in the dark now. Like, they can't get out of it. You have to work your way out of it. And that's what we've all been doing. But when they just stay in this, it's important to get to your life review. And then to go in and get the balance, the counterbalance of the experience so that you can counterbalance, so you can learn from it. But see, these people don't do that. And then some of them just sneak into other bodies and just stay going. Some of them, I don't know, this vampire lifestyle or something. There's also all sorts of things. But not all the souls go through all the experiences like we do. But that's why it's like we are very powerful. We are very intelligent. We're exceptional. Like, we are important to the universe. We are what gives the universe life. Like, if there weren't any souls that were down here doing all these reincarnations and playing all these different life patterns out so that everybody else can see, then, what would we be doing? What would the universe be doing? Like, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty spectacular. I think it's a good way to use infinity. It's a good way to use our time. The only thing is that we get caught up and we forget, and we get too caught up in the pain and the suffering. But when we can really get into, the challenges and learning from them, and, we're trying to do our best and stuff, instead of just looking for opportunities to get ahead the quick way, get this or that. Like, all that stuff is so dependent on insecurities and stuff. Like, all these women with all this plastic surgery and stuff, like, these Hollywood ladies where they think like, oh, those girls got it all going on. They can get any guy. They've got all the money. They've got all the clothes and all that. Look how insecure they are. They're running and getting their faces all chopped up and all that stuff. It's very stressful, obviously. They don't feel good about themselves. So, anyways, I just think we've got to not be thinking that other people have got it better than us. It's not like because somebody has money that they have it better than anybody else. And in some cases, not even if somebody's pretty, like, oh, well, there's this big thing on pretty privilege. But yeah, if you're the person who's sitting back going, oh, well, they get pretty privilege, people will just do whatever because they're pretty. It's like, but there's a dark side to pretty privilege too. People want to use you. There's dark sides to all these things. So don't get caught up in thinking somebody's got it better than you. There's nobody that just has easy street. Everybody's got challenges. We're here to have challenges. We're here to get over our challenges. We're here to do the best we can with our challenges. And that shows us, who we are at our core. It shows us who we are at our core. You're not here to impress anybody else. You're here to understand about yourself. And if there's anybody you want to be impressing, I would imagine it's probably your guides. It's like, oh yeah, I was listening to you. I was really hearing you. I was really, the more that you work and develop that communication, I think that there's great value in that. And that is where, they'll lead you. But like I said, they're not going to tell you every little fucking thing. They're going to tell you each day, oh, this is going to happen because you would interfere. So it's not like that. And when things go down, they're there more of like to point other things out to you because you go in one direction and you get all down and sad and go in this certain direction. And then they'll start showing you other things. Like even like one day I was all like feeling guilty and sad about Winston. And then they reminded me of like, he wasn't Mr. Perfect. Remember when he would be out there and Stella would be running at the fence and they'd be running at the fence and Winston would attack her every day. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. He did do some dickhead things. And so, it's kind of like those kinds of things that just kind of get you back to level so you don't just sink into the depths of pity. They pull you back up like, come on, get your shit together. Get a little logic in there and get some balance. Think things through. Don't just go into your emotional instability and feel sorry for yourself. So they're there as like your team, your cheering team. And then you got grandparents and stuff, and they're always pointing shit out. And then they're always clapping for you, too. Everybody's excited when you do good things, and everybody gets excited. So anyways, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know I don't know. I'm a mess for the last few days, and I swear to God, I have been really crazy dreams. crazy. Like, there's just, like, things are weird right now. That's all I can say. It just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. And I think that some people who are really not understanding of spirituality and stuff in this weird supernatural world and the mysticism behind our existence is, it's got to seem scary right now because it's weird. It's just like so weird. I mean, we got fucking giants up watching us in the sky all night. They're probably watching us all day, but they put out that light ring thing and it blinds us so we can't see. Like, I just am curious, like, is that when the lights go out and all of a sudden we see all these beings watching us and then the lights come back on and we see a whole different reality? Maybe they're going to pick us up and carry us on their shoulders. I saw this, a human the other day. It had this little, I don't know if it's like a monkey thing, a squirrel thing. I don't know. What are those things called? Are they like called sliders or something? I can't think of what they're called. These little tiny little creatures that are very cute as hell. And sitting on her shoulder eating, and she's feeding it a bottle, I think, this tiny little bottle, and she's answering questions to people. But anyways, the way I saw it was like, that's the humans and this is the people, and that's basically what we are to them. Oh, look at these cute little animals. Look at these cute little things. Look at, you get a little dropper and look, sucks it up and like, but it is micro macro. We are that, and look at how we act. Like, I'm not at all surprised that one QHHT thing where that girl had said, like, yeah, you go into some of these other alien households and stuff, and they've got humans in cages like a little bird. Dance for us, sing, talk, all the little tricks that we can do. So, anyways, everything is what it is, and it's way different than what people think. And all I can say is what you got to be doing while you're here is working on yourself, is learn how to love yourself, love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's totally up to you. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.